Now, since we're talking about it, there was a response to this that I want to address from a much more biblical perspective. The response was, Jesus' Father issued commandments, otherwise known as rules. Civilization cannot be the gravest problems of civilizations cannot be maintained without rules. One of the gravest problems of the past 20 years or so is the loss of respect for rules and those who enforce them. It's time for the tide to turn. It's very interesting. It's very interesting because I know Kristi Noem considers herself to be a Christian. And I know Ron DeSantis proclaims themselves to be a Christian. Ron DeSantis does as well. So does Donald Trump. That fellow that's in the background, I don't know who that fellow was, but he probably does as well. So this thought of we must have rules. Jesus' Father issued commandments, otherwise known as rules. So we're bringing the Bible into it. So let's jump into the Bible a little bit. Here's a rule. It's from Leviticus. That book that, those Old Testament thumpers, they always seem to go back to. They love them some Leviticus. As Leviticus tells us, oh, you're not to do this, you're not to do that. This is abhorrent. That is an abomination. This person must be dragged outside and switched. This person must be dragged outside and stoned. And yet here in Leviticus chapter 19, we get those wonderful, beautiful words. When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your native born. Love them as yourself, for you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. There are other passages that say the exact same thing, or something similar. There are other stories in the Bible where this is a common theme. There are other times where we see how people migrated from one place to another and how they were treated in those places. Many. Of course, at the time, there were no laws about who can cross what imaginary line that's drawn in the sand, or what papers you needed in order to cross said lines. It wasn't something that was enforced. It wasn't something that was considered. A passage like this was written specifically. A passage like this would have been written because they wanted us. It was written, if, for example, it was written to us in that time, they would want the reader. They would want the reader to understand that they have a responsibility to take care of the people who are journeying into and through their communities. You have a responsibility of hospitality. Hospitality is huge. Huge in the Old Testament. Hospitality and taking care of people you don't know is of immense importance. There's stories where angels appear. They appear as travelers, and those who take care of them are blessed. And there are stories where those who do not take care of them find themselves on the wrong end of those particular angels. The point is, we are supposed to take care of people we don't know. And in that passage, it says, because remember, you were once strangers too. You were once foreigners in another land. Not that you were taken care of well when you were in Egypt, but you're not to be like that. You're not to be like the Egyptians. You're to be my people. That's God is talking to the Israelites after they've fled Egypt. Remember that you were a stranger in Egypt. Remember how much that sucked. Remember how awful that was. And now make good, well, and sure that you never, ever make anyone feel that way. Be good, well, and sure that you never cause anyone that kind of pain. Be good, well, and sure that you never force anyone to live the way you had to live when you were in Egypt. So you're going to do the opposite. And the opposite is you're going to feed them, and you're going to treat them like family, and you're going to love them, and you're going to provide for them. Done. But we don't know them. Doesn't matter. But they don't have the right papers. Doesn't matter. You're to take care of them. Now, the argument, of course, is, well, that's what we do to criminals. Okay, fair enough. Then treat them the way you would treat somebody who violates the law the same way they did. Do you round them up at Home Depot? Do you round them up at Walmart? Do you round them up at the grocery store? Do you steal them as they're coming out of school? Do you kidnap them as they're sitting in a park? No. Do you jump them as they're running down the street? Do you intern them in an alligator-infested swamp for a crime like that? Of course not. Of course not. We have a responsibility, and we are blessed if we engage in this responsibility. And listen, I know how difficult this is in our world. There is much for us to be afraid of. We are told over and over and over again just how much there is for us to be afraid of. And yet, here is the responsibility. Remember what it was like? Therefore, you will love. Remember what it was like, therefore you will feed. Remember what it was like, therefore you will provide. Just like they are family. You have never met them before, can't understand the language, whatever the case might be, you are to treat them as family. That's a law. That's a rule. From the same book that people claim this is a rule and that's a rule and that's a command and this is sinful and this is missing the mark, from that same book, Leviticus, that so many people are willing to use as a crudgel against others whom they don't appreciate, whose lifestyles they don't accept or agree to. That same book says this. That same book gives us this rule. When a foreigner resides among you in your land, do not mistreat them. The foreigner residing among you must be treated as your own native born. Love them as yourself. For you were foreigners in Egypt. I am the Lord your God. It's an abomination. It's an abomination the way these people are being treated and are about to be treated. Amen.